Alright, so just a quick video going over the newly released Unearthed Arcana, released, what is the date today? October 17th, 2019. So 3 new archetypes are released in this edition, and just as a note, this is considered a playtest, so nothing that's, polished or officially approved. But they do release 3 new archetypes, one for the Fighter, Ranger, and the Rogue. I'll put a link in the description. This is the Dungeons & Dragons Wizard of the Coast main page, and it is, of course, free. But anyways, let's fire it up. Let's take a look here. And like I was saying, just going to be focusing on the Fighter. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. This is just right on the first page. We're going to be looking at the Rune Knight. Now, as a fighter, when you hit 3rd level, you get to pick your new martial archetype. And there's, I think, what do they give you? 2 or 3 in the base, and then Xanathar's Guide has another few, I think they throw at you. So anyways, now we're looking at the Rune Knight. Now the Rune Knight is definitely based off of kind of giant lore, kind of backgrounds that they're recommending is, if you have firsthand knowledge of these giants, these rune cutters that they're known as, I guess that are doing the official writing of the language. For the giants and creating these magic runes. So they kind of just recommend having a background where maybe your character was working with a sage and has secondhand knowledge of this, or doing his own research through traveling locations, or like I say, firsthand knowledge being raised by giants. How cool is that? So right away, being at 3rd level, you get bonus to proficiencies. That includes smith's tools, as well as learning how to speak, read, and write fully in giant. Now the big main feature before we get to it is the rune magic, but before we go to that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the other 3rd level, or the ability you get right away, which is called Giant Might. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, now so Giant Might, you get to use this as a bonus action, as it says twice per day, basically before you have a long rest there. It lasts for a minute, and so what it does, it actually increases your size. So if you're not already a large, it bumps you up to a large size, and you then do have advantage on strength and checks, as well as strength saving throws. Now, the nice thing about it is that it also does add bonus damage during that minute duration. You get to add a 1d6 for your bonus damage, so not too bad. Now, the main feature of this class are the rune magic. Now, this is kind of an interesting addition for a fighter, because now you're looking at spell save DCs. So now all of a sudden, intelligence is an interesting ability or stat to have for this class, as it's going to help out with your spell save DCs, anything that gets cast at a creature. So with runes, you basically start off by being able to select 2 runes out of everything that's listed here. I think, what is there? There's about 6 or 7 of them. Now, runes you enchant onto items, strictly weapons, armor, and shields, as it says. When you're at 3rd level, you get to start with applying 2 runes. Only one item can carry 1 rune at a time. Let's take it. Your runes remain on the object until you have finished a long rest. So basically, you're casting them first thing in the morning, getting 2 different items that you get to start with, 2 different runes. And then each rune basically has a passive ability, and as well as an activated ability, or invoking the rune as it's described. So let's take a look at some of the runes that you get to start with. So just to reiterate, so starting at 3rd level, you get to enchant 2 different items, and you get to know 2 different runes being that. So let's take a look at the runes. The first one is the Hill Rune. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. Here's a little note on the spell save DC. It's basically 8 plus your proficiency and your intelligence modifier. But starting with the Hill Rune, now the passive with the Hill Rune is that you gain advantage and this is while whatever items you're using is being carried or equipped. You get these advantages or bonuses. So starting with the Hill Rune, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, as well as resistance against poison damage. So that is just the passive side of the rune. Now, when you actually invoke the ability or invoke the rune, as a bonus action for the Hill Rune, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for a minute. So not too shabby at all. So once you invoked it, you can't do it again until you finish a short or long rest. Okay, now looking at the Fire Rune. Runes magic channels, blah, 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 based on the fire kind of smith giants there. Basically get a proficiency or double proficiency if you're already proficient with that, with a certain tool. So that's not bad if you're doing lots of crafting. Now when you invoke this rune, This is kind of interesting. You summon fiery shackles. The target must succeed a strength saving throw or be restrained for 1 minute. And off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure when you're restrained, you obviously can't move. You lose your movement. And I believe you do. Creatures have advantage on attack against you, and you have disadvantage if you're restrained. So not a bad thing to be able to throw on an enemy. While this creature is restrained in the shackles, the target takes 2d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns, so not bad. And I believe they do strength saving throws at the beginning of each turn. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each turn, banishing shackles on a success. Okay, very cool, so not bad. Next, looking at the Frost Rune. Now this one, the passive, you basically get a bonus advantage on... better make sure, yeah, advantage on your wisdom for animal handling and intimidation checks. On invoking the rune, you get to bump your strength score up by 2 for 10 minutes, which is actually pretty dope. So man, if you're starting at that base 18 and you bump it up to that 20, that's not too bad. It does note that you cannot exceed past 30. Okay, so moving along, look at the Cloud Rune. Again, the passive is just, it gives you an advantage on sleight of hand and deception checks. However, the invocation, you get to use a reaction to use the invocation, and you basically get to almost deflect an attack. Let's read it here. Invoke the rune and cause that attack to target a different creature. So if you're within 30 feet and you see a creature that is being attacked, say an ally, you can or yourself, you can basically deflect that attack to attack someone other than the attacker itself. So not a bad utility to be able to deflect that kind of damage if something bad's coming in. Looking at the Stone Rune, now this gives you advantage on insight checks, and then as well as grants dark vision on yourself. So the actual invoking of the Stone Rune. Let's see, I can't remember here. Reaction to the invoke the Stone Rune and force the creature to make a wisdom saving. Okay, so now we're actually starting to make creatures do saving throws here. So this is where we're actually applying our spell DC. Unless the save succeed, the creature is charmed, so you're charmed for 1 minute, but not only that, the charmed creature also has speed of 0 and is incapacitated. So incapacitated, ooh, that I might actually have to look up real quick here, because I think you get automatic critical hits. Yeah, being incapacitated is not weird. Incapacitated creature can't take actions or reactions. Oh, that's it. Oh, okay, not as bad as I thought, so scrap that. An incapacitated creature can't take actions or reactions. So they're basically frozen kind of in a daze. The effects can end if the charmed creature takes any damage. As usual, someone else tries to shake them out of it. So nice little invocation there. Next one is the Storm. Using the rune, you get to... advantage on intelligence checks, right? And you can't be surprised as long as you're not incapacitated. So not a bad passive to have on you, not being able to be surprised. So that's pretty good. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to enter a prophetic state for 1 minute until you're incapacitated. Till the state ends, when you and another creature can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, a saving throw, and ability check, you can use your reaction to cause the roll to have advantage or disadvantage. So not too bad. Whether it's an ally or an enemy, you can cause that attack to have an advantage or disadvantage. So nice utility there. Okay, so that basically covers the runes that are available. And like I was saying, when you create your character at 3rd level, you get to pick from 2 of them and have a maximum of 2 that you get to enchant on your weapons and armor. As you progress into the level, so say if you get into the 7th level, you get the defensive rune. In addition, you learn 1 new rune of your choice from the rune magic feature. So now you have a total of 3, as it says there. Let's look at defensive rune itself. You learn to invoke your rune magic to protect your allies. Whenever another creature you can see within 60 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to grant a bonus to the creature's AC against that attack. The bonus equals 1 plus your intelligence modifier. So again, kind of an interesting class to be able to have that intelligence modifier help out being a warrior. Okay, going down. Now, once you get to 10th level, you actually get an additional rune that you get to learn, as well as giving you a total of 4. And anytime you do level up, you are allowed to trade out a rune for rune if you want to switch one out. But when you get to 7th, you get a total of 3. 10th, we got a total of 4. And let's go down on the next page. 15th, we get an additional one, total of 5. So looking at the final ability though, the Blessing of the All-Father, you learn how to share your rune magic with your allies. When you use your Giant Might feature, you can choose one willing creature you can see within 60 feet. Chosen creature also gains the benefit of Giant Might feature, so pretty cool. So interesting class overall. I think it's a good touch to have archetype for the fighters that uses intelligence. That's a very different type of build, so you might have to, you know, step away from buffing up like your dexterity, charisma, wisdom, in order to, you know, have that higher intelligence ability score. So very cool. I think it's a neat idea. I like how you have different runes that apply not only a passive ability, but you get to invoke them and kind of have like an instant action. It's a neat class. I want to make one and try one for myself. That's for sure. Very cool. So I hope this video was helpful. Just looking at the Rune Knight. Do plan on checking out the Ranger and the Rogue archetypes that they are introducing in this, and curious if they're actually going to put these in any of the future literature for 5th edition. So anyways, thanks for checking out the channel. Check out my other channel. It's Simple Combo. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.